Welcome to the Halving Report. Thanks for joining me, Yugocana. How are you today?
Very well. Thanks for having me, Xavier. It's a celebration. It's my first English podcast, so don't mind if I have a cold beer.
You know what? I don't mind either. You should have let me know before. I'm just gonna crack one open here with you then.
Yes, that's the best way to talk. It's gonna get the juices going.
Nice. Well, I look forward to it. Well, cheers to that. That's
Cheers.
a great moment.
Cheers.
So, you're on vacation right now too, right?
Yeah, I went down to El Salvador to see the promised land. Stacy brainwashed me into going, and I don't regret it at all. I was at the halving party with the guys there. We were 600 of us, I think, and it was really amazing. The energy was like out of this world. And then I went there on the 1st of April, and on the 8th, I decided to go to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And now I'm in Nayarit, Mexico, in Nuevo Vallarta. It's another state next to Jalisco. And I'm here with my wife, her sisters, her parents, my son, and other family members. So just enjoying life.
Nice. So you've been on the trip almost for like over a month.
Yeah. I've been traveling over a month. Left my FIA job after 10 years.
Wow.
And like just plunged, just made the jump, and gave myself until August to decide what I'm gonna do next. But there's a lot of amazing things going on that I will announce soon. And well, you've invited me to this podcast, which I'm very grateful. Thank you. And I've been invited also by Robin in his podcast today. So I mean, I want to do the Bitcoin circuit to think and talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the revolution. We're living in epic times, in biblical times almost. And like that's what makes me wake up in the morning, and gives me hope and excitement for the future. I think Bitcoiners are optimists. We're builders, and I feel very blessed and lucky to be among them.
You hit the nail on the head. I couldn't have said that better myself. Has your like mindset changed around Bitcoin while you've been out? Have you seen anything and it's made you think about Bitcoin?
Well, yeah, I keep thinking about it, and I keep doing the long walks in the sun, listening the advice of Lupka, and thinking about Bitcoin and everything that it means. Did it change anything for me? Well, I think every day that goes by, I appreciate even more Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an infinite rabbit hole, and it's one filled with the best things, the best potential, the best excitement, the best energy that one can get. We're building a brand new world from scratch. We have the tyrants on the run, and we're not even firing a bullet. So it's something. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. So what I do when I'm on a trip, I just try to orange pill as many people as I can. Uber drivers, waiters, my family. There's only one uncle left to orange pill. Everybody else is going to buy some Bitcoin. So yeah, because Bitcoin is for everybody. Bitcoin is not for the rich, is not for the poor, is not for the left, is not for the right, is not for this or that. It's for everybody. So anybody that wants to opt out, that feels that something is wrong right now and that they want a better future for them and their family, well, they should definitely study Bitcoin and go buy some as soon as possible.
Definitely. And like when you're traveling, you notice that there's maybe a lot of people that are unbanked, and like you said, Bitcoin is for everybody. So it really is a solution for the people around the world who haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bitcoin is the builder of the middle class, because for the first time you can you can you can again work hard and store the fruits of your labor into something that's not gonna vaporize. Okay, so and there's always excuses and lies and then promises, but I've worked 10 years in Canadian politics. I know that they don't do what they promise they will do, so they can do whatever they do depending who is doing it and for what reason. But Bitcoin is is truth, and not one day somebody can wake up and decide, oh, okay, we're going to change all of the rules and print 21 more million Bitcoins and fuck everybody holding Bitcoin. And guess what? We're going to spend those new Bitcoins on stupid shit like war and like, some everything, corruption, and, to pay some Bentleys to some foreign ministers. Who the fuck gives a fuck? Our streets are falling apart. We have desperations in people's eyes. We have depressions through the roof. Why? Because people realize something is wrong. They don't know what. Most people don't understand money and don't understand what's going on around them, but they know something is wrong because they've never been working so hard and getting so little, And I think that's the thing that creates all of the societal problems we see around us, because people go to work knowing they're going to have a worse off future than they do now. So they don't give a fuck. They're not going to go put their heart there. Nobody has any pride anymore on what they do because they know they're being slaved around, and that they can't afford the things. Now you go do a grocery for $100, you get a few items. I mean, it's batshit crazy. And if you read the book by Jeff Booth, you got The Price of Tomorrow, you understand technology is giving us 5% deflation by year. So they're not only stealing the 15% inflation that they say it's 4 or 5% lying, because they exclude like the most important things we use in their calculus and always change the things they use to calculate it. They also steal the 5% that automatization and innovation gives us. So they're stealing 20% from us by year. That's unsustainable. And people think, they're gonna stop. No, they're not gonna stop. They're gonna dry everything out, okay? Everything to the last fucking part. So we need to wake up. We need everybody on board. If you're a waiter or if you're a PhD, if you're a rebel or if you're a artist, if you make music, we need everybody.
Yeah, you're right. That's one thing that concerns me a lot too. I noticed that like everybody I talk to or most people that you meet, and like you said, everybody knows something is wrong. But it's us maybe, or there's a select few people that know maybe what needs to be fixed. And of course, it's the money that needs to be fixed. Bitcoin can solve a lot because, and like you said, I mean, with fiat currency, they can, I guess, print as much as they want out of that and then fund crazy stuff over in different countries or in a different continent because they see that they're going to be able to maybe make some money off of that somehow.
Billions. But the thing is, when you say people know something's wrong, like people also are eager for change. They also know that better is possible. And like I love my fellow man. I think that as Bitcoiners, we need to obviously orange pill the people, but also lead by example. Let's plant forests, let's build beautiful things, let's inspire, let's grow that human spirit. Because
Sure.
the lies and the lies get to our mind. When you're being constantly lied to and something's wrong and you're being always programmed, you become angry. You become, you refuse to participate in a society that's like that. So we're building a brand new society with Bitcoin, and it's anchored in mathematics, it's anchored in physics, and it can be played around, with by the people that don't give a fuck about us. Quite frankly.
Right. And you know what? I never feel bad whenever I'm orange pilling somebody or I'm talking to them about Bitcoin because, like you said, everything is messed up. And, Bitcoin, it's not only a currency, it's not only a solution to most things, but it's also a lifestyle. And it's a lifestyle of self-improvement and studying, where you start to realize everything that's effed up or messed up around you, and allowing your time to be valuable and learning what true value is will, again, just help everything in your life or around you kind of improve a little bit and help you realize how important those relationships are with family members and other people are, because that's what we're going away from. People all around the world are pushing themselves away from people to just work, and grow themselves instead of helping each other and grow each other, basically.
Yeah. No, totally. Bitcoin helps us tame our greed. Many people come into Bitcoin to go out in fiat, and I've been orange pilling a lot of people, and some of them come back to me and tell me, like a boomer friend of mine in Alliance clubs that I do philanthropy in. He comes back and he tells me, "Hey man, great news. I made 20% off Bitcoin and I sold. Thank you for the advice," And I'm like, bro, okay, now you have those fiat 20% gains. Okay, they're still gonna getting wrecked by inflation. Why did you sell? And he's like, I better keep it in case of Bitcoin crashes. Then I had to orange pill him once again to send him some documentaries, to listen to understand that you don't go into Bitcoin to go out. You go there to stay. You go there to live on the Bitcoin standard and to make money, not being relevant anymore. Money becomes a non-important thing, because you make money while you sleep in some way. You make purchasing power while you sleep. And it's not about money, as you said, it's about everything. It's about rethinking the way we live. And this is we're so early that it blows my mind, because I know there's going to be crazy layers built on top of this, and there's gonna be wild things going on, because it's unfucking society, and there's a lot of fucked up shit to unfuck. There has been a lot of shit fuckery going on, and you can censor me if I don't know if your podcast have swear words, but you can like put a small noise like, I don't mind if you want, if it affects the algos. But like Bitcoin, we need Bitcoin in agriculture. We need Bitcoin in every layer of society. We need it in water production. We need it, we need it in energy production. We need it everywhere. Bitcoin makes everything better because finally we have a ledger anchored in truth on which we can build stuff. And there's no manipulation that can occur, And also right now, I feel that we're at a critical point in Bitcoin where this fifth epoch has accomplished some great things, because we have some serious people that now own Bitcoin. We have a intellectual current of Bitcoiners going on, and people that are now actively thinking about Bitcoin. Me and you, we're not the only ones. There's millions of us. So we're creating this whole new reality in some way, if we create the matrix with our thoughts, if we say that everything that we emit goes into the quantum, where we're literally imagining this world as we go by and as we make memes and mock stuff that doesn't make any sense. And I love everybody, by the way. I have no enemies because I'm ruthless with them, so I have none. But for me, it's all about love. And if you don't agree with some things that I say, if they offend you, and bro, it's your right to be offended. Just block me, don't listen to me, go enjoy a day off with your family, But in a couple of years, you may remember something and say, oh, man, this guy was right about that. Same happens to me. Every man is flawed, I don't think I know everything. I know nothing, okay? And we know nothing. We're just starting in this beautiful planet, and we're just a tiny species on the top of it, and we give ourselves too much importance. Is the human ego, Yeah, we've been touched by God and we have enormous capacities. But when you see the grand scale of things, the complexity of natures of God's creation and of the things going on in a macro level, you realize that, yeah, maybe we're just a little species of ants somewhere doing their thing, and it's cool and all, but let's not give ourselves too much importance either,
For sure. No, it's interesting to think about the human race, to think about us as, like you said, little ants. And that's it too. Like we all have so much more to learn. We can't think that we're at the top. There's so much to learn that you can't even think about how much there's to learn. It's crazy.
Exactly. It's infinite because we're creating it as we go on, as we find. And that's why mathematics, we don't invent it. Mathematics, we discover it. And mathematics are truths that we discover, and truth leads to God. So as we go and as we explore this world through mathematics and others means, we just unveil the whole complexity of things, and it's infinite. So we can be going on for billions of years, and we're going to become some kind of a weird creature probably, or I don't know if we're going to stay the same, but we can learn forever, you know, if we're still around at that
For
time.
sure.
If the sun doesn't expand just a little bit, you know, or just send us a small flare that fucks us up, you know, or if we don't have some random super volcano just pop up and destroy everything, or the many other possibilities that can occur, you know. So, you know, it's crazy to think about it.
For sure. And it's humbling too, realizing how much we can be impacted by those things.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's nature, right?
It's nature, you know, and we can be doing all of the good things at the perfect moment and still get wrecked, you know,
Yep.
because we just praise God provides, and he give it, he take it. So when it's time to go, we're gonna go, and there's gonna be something else afterwards. But on this plane of life, like, anything can fuck us up. So let's not take ourselves too serious. And when I see this geopolitics going on and these boomers with these stupid words, like, it feels so obsolete to me. It feels so like, what the fuck are these people doing? Like killing kids, launching some explosives on the heads of some people to make some money, like for some land, like this land, that land. Yo, bro, like, fuck off. You know, I feel that this is not the way to go. We can do so much better, and we need to do much, much better. But at the same time, I'm optimistic and realist when I see the world situation today. And if I compare it with the world in the Middle Ages or before, you know, we're better in most of the on like me and you today, we live like emperors used to live in those times. We have the same hygiene and nutriments and freedom that the emperors had back then. So we all became emperors. So that's why I like to remind to the people, God gave us absolute abundance. We insist on limiting ourselves with our thoughts and with our limitations and with our fears and with the fucking you know, the things that that whisper to us that we can't and we shouldn't and this and that. Like, fuck that. Do whatever you want to do it with love, do it with passion, and just do it, you know. And after, it's gonna, you're gonna create it yourself by doing it. And just every time you fall, if you stand up, you're gonna win. It's just a matter of time. Maybe you're gonna hurt your leg a few times, but like, you can't lose actually. So yeah.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger too.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned you orange pilled a friend, and he comes back at you and he says, "Oh, thank you. I made 20% and I sold it." That's one thing I think about is because I guess that's a question that a lot of people have that aren't in the space. They're like, "Oh, well, when are you going to sell it?" My answer to them is like another question, and I say, "Well, what am I going to sell it for? Fiat currency? Because it's the whole reason I'm in this is to escape the fiat currency, escape um, the rat race that everybody else is in to get that money that's being printed to zero, basically."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. There's no exit door. There's only two systems. There's one that's called the international banking system, and there's the other one who is Bitcoin. So, and even the people, like, they buy a house, they sell it on profit, but they forget to ask themselves, okay, this money, if I bought the house for $100,000 and sold it for $300,000, what can these $300,000 buy me today? And the answer may be that it can buy you less than the $100,000 could have bought you back then, you know? So are you really making a profit? No. And what's the house you can buy with those $300,000 today? Well, not a very big house, okay? Because now houses are worth millions of dollars because it's overpriced. And why is it overpriced? Because people are looking to shelter themselves from this inflation. So they're using anything they can. They're going to speculate on tulips if they can. They're going to speculate on houses. They're going to speculate on anything. So it's a undecent speculation going on goods that shouldn't be speculated on. And when we see the amount of people living on the streets, not having a roof over their head, And while at the same time, there's these bankers and these societies that own all this land, all this housing, it's retarded. It's not a associate. It's not something you can build a society on. I don't want to go in the street and see misery and people dying around me and me being rich in my castle. I don't want that. I want to help my fellow man. And society is the most complex human organization that we have, and it should always work to making things better, and often by the government not interfering, because the problem is mostly the government interfering and fucking the market up and giving stupid rules and regulation that empower such behavior, and then blaming the rich people on it, you know. So it's like a con play, you know. We're being constantly conned, and the reality is, just during the COVID, there was something like $4 trillion transferred from the middle class to the most rich people in the world. So what's that called? It's I mean, it's communism for the rich and ruthless capitalism for the poor, you know. And they end up in the streets, dying there, having all kinds of health issues, mental problems, because they're being drugged. They're being I mean, it's terrible what's going on. I will never accept that. I will never say, okay, this is the normal. This is not normal. And if our ancestors were able to have a decent society that were functioning well and that created the great things that we visit today when we go around the world, well, we can do the same things today if we have the power to do it. And Bitcoin gives us that power. And that's why it's really, really important to orange pill the corporations, the bankers, the middle class, the working man, you know. Everybody needs to go on the standard, because this way we just create together a better society for tomorrow. And there were roads before, there were hospitals before they started to tax our you know, income. So we can reimagine a better thing that doesn't have these black budgets that we don't even know what they cost, and like we don't even know where the money goes. And there's so much money that is going that it's not the taxes that are paying for it, because there's not enough tax. The tax is basically just to keep us in check and to, you know, to show us who's the boss, you know, because they're not only using all the tax and all, they're just lending and taking more and more money and piling up the debt that is on us. It's our debt. So I don't know how this is going to play out, but I think that if cities, if companies, if individuals go on the Bitcoin standard, it could definitely change everything.
Definitely. Do you think cities, big corporations want to move to a Bitcoin standard? Do you think they want to give up that control that they have over the system to the people?
Well, I do think, because it's all about the money at the end of the day. And these entities, they want to have more budgets to do the things that they think that are important. And also there's all kinds of rules and regulations preventing them to do some of the logic stuff that one can do, you know. And it's not quite easy to do the reforms that some people get elected that they want to do, because the system is simply rigged and it has too many complexities to be budging, you know, and it's made in that way to be dysfunctional for various reasons. But I do think that at the end of the day, it's about the economy, you know, and like maybe not today, because the economy is still going decently. For the illusion of economy is going still decently for the masses, but will come a day where like they're literally gonna, you know, come in, and it's gonna be like the late stage Soviet Russia, where they were big, nothing was functioning anymore. Like the bureaucratic layers got so heavy. It was all based on lies, on manipulation, on propaganda, that they didn't even know what the hell was going on anymore. Nobody could know, because they know that it was pure lies all of the time. So it will come to that point where everybody's going to go onto the Bitcoin standard, or maybe on a US dollar now grounded in the Bitcoin standard. And there could also be a petro Bitcoin instead of the petro dollar, or a petro dollar with the dollar on the Bitcoin standard. Like, there needs to be changes, because this way of going it can go on forever. And it can't go on for very much longer either, because the other countries are waking up and they see that the emperor has no clothes. And we're led by, I mean, the president right now is a senile elderly man. Like, who is really in charge? Who is really making these decisions? Doesn't matter, but these decisions are terrible. They're putting us in economic harm. They're destroying the middle class, what's left of the middle class, and they're just sucking up everything where they find any wealth and prosperity, you know. And yeah, we can blame the rich people, but we could also fix the system that and make a more fair system where people can invest and help people have Bitcoin, give them Bitcoin education, put the energy facilities on the Bitcoin standard, produce wealth. You know, we can pay this thing off. We've been in worse places. You know, Europe was destroyed completely after World War II. It was rebuilt. You know, so it can be done. Like, there's no limits to our human ingenuity. It's just you need some leadership and you need some fearless people to jump on the scene and to push forward. And before, we didn't have anywhere to push to, you know. And now with the Bitcoin standard, we have something where to push to. We have this decentralized mathematical formula system that works. You know, it has been attacked by China, it has been attacked by the United States, and it's still working. Okay, what other system or entity could you say can be attacked by China and the United States, which are by far the most powerful entities, you know, with maybe Russia and other few big countries that have limitless power. You know, they can destroy anything. But Bitcoin is still going on. The hash is still there. The blocks are still being made. You know, so it's. I think that we don't even understand how powerful it is yet. You know, and state actors are like President Bukele. This guy is a philosopher president. He's a new kind. He's the first post-boomer president in the world with sufficient authority to really make a meaningful change in his country. It's a very tiny country, but a very rich country, because the people are God-fearing people, and you see hope, and you see in their eyes that they want to build a better future. And now, well, when putting the Bitcoin standard there, what's happening is that everybody wants to know, everybody wants a piece of El Salvador, but not in a bad way, in a way where they want to help rebuild that new El Salvador, which can be better than Switzerland, that can be better than Singapore, because now we have better systems in place, you know. And I hope they are already succeeding. I hope them the best. They want to build the Bitcoin city there. I'm sure going to buy a condo in that city once it's built, because I don't want to be left out, and I feel that the best parties are going to be at the Bitcoin city, El Salvador. So I'm not, I don't want to become a, you know, old too soon. I want to keep it going like Max Kaiser, dancing and saying crazy shit until late age.
I hear you. There's a few points actually I wanted to touch at there. First, how was your trip to El Salvador? What were your thoughts while you were there? What did you see?
I saw a lot of. I saw peace. I saw people who feel free. You know, I saw liberty in El Salvador. I could feel it. People are kind. People are happy. People are. I mean, people are. These people are not rich. You know, there's some elites. There's some, but the people now, they know the future is going to be better. So what I saw there is infinite potential. I saw there the next Singapore of America. I saw there the first country that really understood what Bitcoin was really about, you know, and that gives them a big edge. The same way that people that got into Bitcoin at 2009 have an edge over the people that get in 2024, you know. But these people there, they truly understand it. And we had a lot of fun at the halving party. I met Miss El Salvador. She's a really smart, amazing Bitcoiner, Chadet. I met Max Kaiser. I met Stacy. I saw her talk. I didn't want to bother her. She was talking with somebody, but she's an absolute Chadet. She inspired us by telling us stories about how she went to the worst neighborhoods while the gang wars were still on, to distribute $2 million to victims of crime there and families of victims of these gangs. And I mean, imagine the balls on Stacy. Stacy
Right.
literally has the biggest balls in the Bitcoin games. They were locals refusing to follow her there, saying no, and gang members looking at her and like she has $2 million on her, distributing it to people. So in a poor community, this spreads really fast.
Right.
Everybody the walls talk. So no, it was very inspiring, and the party was so much fun. The energy was amazing. I realized some people even follow me on X, because we don't realize it. I just shitpost, and I have 6 million impressions by month. So I had some younger guys coming, hey, you're Yugocana. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm Yugocana. They're like, hey, bro, it's so nice to meet you. We read all of your shit. I'm like, oh, man, this is amazing. Some young American patriots, And no, it was amazing. And then I went to the capital. I went downtown. I met the people. I had a few meetings. And I don't know yet what I'm going to do there, but I'm going to do something, definitely. I'm looking maybe to import-export something there. I'm looking to, as I say, maybe have a condo there once Bitcoin City gets on the way, or some other project. I would maybe like to have a hotel there. I don't know, but I feel that that country has enormous potential. And if you're an investor, you should definitely take a trip down there. Call Max, call Stacy, shitpost on Nix, and go see there. Because the upside is going to be incredible there, and it's so early. Like it's like Mexico in the 80s. That's the comparison I would give you. Like Mexico, the country in the 80s, like it was. But now when you go to Mexico City, I mean, it's the la capital del mundo. It's everybody's there. There's arts, there's business, there's culture. It's booming. So El Salvador, I feel that it could be that hotspot there and be that hub of wealth and freedom in the Americas.
I've never been, but definitely want to get there. Want to get out there. Maybe I'll see you at a conference one day. We'll drink a beer or something together.
For sure. I'm going to the Montreal one, so if you come, I'll be there.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I might see you there then. That's
Okay,
awesome.
so we'll drink a beer there and smoke a fat doobie if you're a smoker. It's legal in Canada. I
Oh
worked
yeah.
on the legalization during my time in government. I was one of the many people, and going around doing town halls with worried ladies, explaining to them that 90% of crime was like petty drug weed possession for young individuals back then in Canada, and in some places. Imagine the judges, the paperwork, the lawyers, these people having their lives destroyed because they smoked a joint. And today you can go into a store and just buy a sativa or a hybrid or and whatever you want, some oils if you're sick. And you have old people, you have young people, you pay, thank you very much, you go out with your little bag, like it's so polite. Because they were saying like cannabis is the pathway to other drugs, but I disagree. It was the dealers who were the pathway. You go there, he offered you other shit. If you can go in a store and just grab some weed and go out, well, nobody's gonna offer you crack cocaine, So I think it's a wise move to make. So I think we need to unfiat marijuana in the United States as well. They have so much stupid laws.
Yeah, for real. It's funny, like 10 years ago, you'd walk around and you're hiding it, you're finding different ways to, like, I guess, be in the shadows while you smoke. And meanwhile, today you walk out of the store with your bag of weed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a total Chad, And it's not. It's I call it the tree of life, And there's many theories, but like even in agricultural production, I've had a discussion with somebody in the El Salvadorian administration that works there, and I told him El Salvador needs to take a close look in hemp for feed for the animals, because hemp seeds, like hemp goes to maturity in 4 months. Okay, it's a super plant, and the seeds have all of the proteins the animal needs. So if you can keep the food without pesticide, you can keep it bio, and you feed it hemp, and you can make clothes out of it. You can make plastics. You can make many. And El Salvador continues to be to this day agricultural society. Okay, yeah, there's a industry and but I mean, there's a lot of people living off farms, and these people, they need to turn a profit, they need to make a buck, you know. And imagine selling hemp seeds and getting paid in Bitcoin. Imagine that, like, okay. So this is we need to unfire that as well, because, and as an argument, I also told them, like, yeah, sure, you put these gangsters in jail and it's cool and all, but their main revenue is cannabis, okay, because people smoke cannabis. So if you sell the cannabis in local stores, you make sure that it's only for adults and that it's consumed in specific places like cafes or at your house or whatever, you know, not in public spaces if you don't want it. And so, like, you can even drive tourism down there, and because maybe that's the only thing that I found uneasy in El Salvador. That was the only critique I had of it, is like this stigma around the weed, you know. But for the rest, for the economy, for the optimism, and for the quality of the airport, the service, how it's clean, how you know, these are the little things that we accept in the West, but that have decayed, you know. There's no pride, and there you can feel that pride. Everybody goes to work in the morning and is very proud, you know. And I respect, there's, everybody does something, you know, and we all make it work together. We can't all be you know, smoking weed and thinking about Bitcoin. The society would collapse.
Right. I wonder why more people haven't gotten into Bitcoin yet. Like what, like you said, everybody knows something's wrong.
Yeah.
But it shocks me that not as many people as I would think have been learning more or have stumbled upon Bitcoin. And I think most people actually have heard of it in some way or another, maybe from me or from you, or from their friends, or just on the internet maybe. But it's shocking to me how many people still aren't into it. So like you said too, we're still so early.
Where early, the response to that, I would say, is fear and manipulation.
Right.
They are being fed constant propaganda and fear mongering. Every time the Bitcoin price goes up or down, it's mentioned in a negative way. Every little shitty news is made big. And they never talk about the good news, you know. And they, like, people that I talk about Bitcoin around me, some are no coiners, you know, and they're always surprised when at some party they ask me for the Bitcoin price, you know, and I tell them, yeah, now it's 90,000 Canadian dollars, 92 today, 92,000 Canadian dollars, and they're like, what? It was 20,000 the last time the news told us it's the worst thing. And I'm like, yeah, the news lied to you, and it's gonna continue to lie to you. And it's like until they unfuck their brains, they cannot comprehend it. They need to take a few hours and study it and go read the Book of Max, or I don't know, whatever, any podcast that there is. But like, I think that for the men out there, you know, it's a duty to learn Bitcoin, to study Bitcoin, because if you're a man, you need to provide for your family, and you need to build a better future for you and, you know, your community. So I think it's our manly duty to go study Bitcoin and to understand the times we're living in. It's a big thing, and it's I mean, you can go into Bitcoin in 20 years, and it's still gonna be a great system to go in. It's still gonna be a great deal for you to go in 20 years. It's just you're better off to go in today, you know, and to start living in this standard. And it's gonna bring you to all kinds of beautiful places, and it's gonna open your eyes to so many shit fuckeries going on. Like, you're gonna just keep realizing, okay, there's this and that and this and that, and it's never ending, you know. You're gonna keep bettering yourself, and you're gonna keep evolving in your thinking about everything that's around us, you know, and the way you see things. And it's gonna also realign you. It's gonna calm your mind. It's gonna align your chakras, because money is a big stress for a lot of people, you know, and they're in this rat race where they want to provide for their families. They have young children. They have bills to pay. They're scared. They have job insecurity. It's a very terrifying thing. The world is not kind out there, you know. It's a hard ass world out there, And so people need to study the Bitcoin. And even if you put $10 every month into it, well, you're putting these $10 that's going to work for you and your family forever. Forever. It's going to generate your buying power forever. Forever. So one day, if you need it, if you get sick, if you need to pay something big, if you, whatever you want to do, you want to donate it, you want to, you want to build a big ass cathedral in the glory of God, well, you're going to have the finances to do it, and that's the thing now. Bitcoin is here, is not going anywhere. Fifth Epoch is our epoch, is the Bitcoiner epoch, because this is the epoch where we're finally, we're grounded now. Like, we're grounded now. We have fucking bankers buying billions of dollars of Bitcoin. We have governments buying them. It's not now when they say lies about Bitcoin, the lies are so absurd because we know the top people have it and the top people are buying Bitcoin. So why are they lying to? They're lying to the masses because they don't want them, they want them going around until the music stops and there's no more chairs, because the bankers, they bought all of the chairs and the public is going to be left standing, because that's what they want to do. The whole Ponzi they build their system on is going to collapse because, first of all, there's not enough workers for the people retired. We're not making enough children. So right there, the system cannot work. And then, like, you have this inflation and this debt that keeps on piling. And the amount that we pay only for the service on the debt is getting astronomical. So this is the money we don't invest in other sectors that we badly need. So we need a reset. I don't know if we're going to wait as a society until we hit the wall before we decide to reset, but we need to start thinking about it hard and strong right now. I know, and I want to do anything I can about it to help wake anybody that I can. And so I think it's my duty, and until then, I'm going to continue to stack some Bitcoin and shit post, make memes, and make fun of stupid shit,
Definitely. That's interesting because, like, the world that we're into now, like, that's the way most people understand new things, or maybe not like scientifically speaking or anything, but I saw maybe a meme one time, or I saw a post one time, and it was like the new generation, or people nowadays learn through memes. So if you can create memes that are educational, and maybe you're consistent with them, it eventually does, I think, change the way people think. Like, there have been some memes that I see and I just go, whoa.
Oh yeah.
Like,
The memes are the equivalent of the 17th century propaganda cartoons, because back at that time, the people did not know how to read. So in the newspapers, there was caricatures made of Napoleon, of the inflation, of the war, of everything. And these caricatures, they push the people to understand that they're being really fucked by these autocratic regimes that were all over Europe. And I mean, these pictures, they helped the Enlightenment movement. They help emancipate the whole world. So memes are that. You have dank memes out there. You have some memes you see, you're like, oh man, this may be too soon, But still, no, if it's true and if it's funny, it should be out there and up to the people to decide if it's too far-fetched. I mean, I say a lot of shit, and some of the shit I say may be wrong, and I'm sorry for it. But did I say it? Yes. Will I go back? No. If somebody says, yeah, but you said some shit, I'm going to tell him, go fuck yourself. And I love you. So it's going to be over there. I don't regret anything. And as we move on, I think that we need to bomb ourselves with truth. And memes are that. They're truth disguised in comedy, and that goes straight to your brain. There, you can't. Me, when I want to orange pill somebody, I always send them the meme of the Bitcoin grocery cart, over time, and the dollar grocery cart over time, and the Bitcoin house price over time, and the fiat house over time. And like, I send them that with the link to my bull Bitcoin that I have on my bio with my referral $20, and I'm like, okay, this, that, this, and that's it. After, they're like, is this really true? And they call me and they go like, is it true that somebody paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas? And I'm like, yeah. And this guy is still around. I don't know if he's dead inside, but I wish him the best luck. And he was a pioneer, you know. And that's why the Fifth Epoch right now is the best epoch, because these guys, they were pioneers. They were stepping in shit in the jungle, you know, trying shit out. It wasn't sure. It was under attack. It was unproven. It was early, you know, and imagine the toll on this guy to know that he used 10,000 Bitcoin to buy this pizza, but it had to be done. Somebody had to be done. So I tell to him, chapeau, monsieur. Okay, thank you for doing it, because they are the ones that brought us here. So, and Max and Stacy, when they become talking, they first started talking about it. I mean, listen, it's a process. Everybody gets the Bitcoin price they deserve. It's internal stuff. You can't put Bitcoin into somebody's brain if he doesn't put it in his own brain. You know, you can just put the seed there, but he needs to grow that plant. He needs to realize what the words are coming out of my mouth, because if he sees them as some kind of a, you know, some people are gonna think, look at this guy, he's trying to sell us something. Like, I'm not trying to sell you anything, bro. Like, I'm just trying to explain to you there's a new system and that you can use it for the benefit of you and your family. So, but humans are as humans are. Even if you give somebody 1 kilo of gold, he may tell you to go fuck yourself. You know, humans are complex. You never know how they're gonna react to things. So we just go around, we plant some seeds, and we lead by example also. People, when they see me going around doing trips, bringing my family to vacation, you know, they're gonna say, wow, okay, I'd like to do that as well. I love my family. I'd like to be able to do those stuff. Well, okay, start stacking some sats and giving some glory to God, you know, and feel blessed. Every day you feel blessed. Blessings unlock more blessings. Okay, if you feel fear, if you feel lack, you're gonna get lack and you're gonna get shit. If you feel blessed, if you say thank you, if you try always to see what's positive, if you always see something as that you can improve, if you have some failures, you see, okay, I failed, but I learned. I'm gonna try again harder this time, and I'm gonna be smarter, and I'm gonna learn from this failure. Well, then you become unstoppable, and then you become you start building for real around you, and then you know. This world, in my humble opinion, is just a mirage. It's just a shadow of the spiritual world that's going on, you know. So Bitcoin is that. Max today, he caused a lot of problems on Twitter saying Bitcoin is God, and I made a rebuke to that. I said Bitcoin is not God, but Bitcoin has divine fingerprints on it. Max has had his Beatles bigger than Jesus moment, you know, when you're like, Bitcoin is God. Jesus is king, nothing is bigger than Jesus. So, but Bitcoin is mathematics that lead to truth, and truth does lead to God. So yes, it has these divine fingerprints. So by being in Bitcoins, you're gonna realign yourself with your creator as well, you know, and you're gonna wake up in the morning and saying, wow, okay, I should maybe change this and do this in another way, or I should do more of this and just spread love. You know, the main thing I saw in El Salvador is love from my fellow Bitcoiners and love from the local population. And it was all about love. We all felt warm and fuzzy inside. And that was amazing. And then you had artistic performances like Roger, shout out to Roger. Man, it like, you go out, because those energies, you know, we're all there, we are around, and those energies, they're viral, you know. And then you go, I'm so hyped to go back to Quebec City and continue to talk shit on Twitter and smoke some weed.
Are you French?
No, I'm Bosnian. I come from ex-Yugoslavia. I was born in Yugoslavia, came as a war refugee in Canada, in Quebec City, which is the French part of Quebec City. Right. So I do speak French, I speak Spanish, I speak Bosnian, my native language, Serbo-Croatian. I speak also, obviously, English. So yeah, I do speak French.
Language is a good thing as well. Language is beautiful and cool. I also speak French. So
maybe we do a next one. Well, yeah. We can do one in French only, in that way.
Actually.
Yeah, I speak French with a Quebec accent, and I'm very proud of it because Quebecers. I mean, Quebec City is such a beautiful city. It's
Yeah,
cold as fuck, so I need to travel a lot during the cold days. But other than that, it's amazing people, and no, I've built a great life for myself there, and I have a lot of great friends. Shout out to them, Slav Life Group, and yeah, no, I'm just having a lot of fun. I think that's the key in life. Have fun. Don't take anything too serious, and try to do good around you.
definitely. And you said it earlier too, and it reminds me of a song. I'm not sure if you know the song, but they say in the song that love is the answer, and that's most likely the answer for everything. Because when there's love involved, you feel good. Everybody around you feels good.
Yeah, and it generates more love. We say violence breeds violence. Well, love breeds love. So
Right.
when you give love, and when love love is not limited to some kind. I love this, I can't love that. Like, I love everybody. I love a rock. I'll go touch a rock, and I'm gonna take a minute to think about this rock who was there for millions of years, and
Right.
you're gonna touch a tree. I love a tree. I love anything. So love is so beautiful, because love helps you feeling blessed. And when you have this loving and this blessing in your life, well, then God just provides more and more, because he wants you to have what you project. The universe gives you what you project. So if you project love, well, you're going to be all around love. And when something bad happens, well, if you approach it through love and patience, I mean, you can resolve it much better than to approach it through violence or impatience.
Totally agree. You're into history, right?
Yeah, geopolitics, history. I'm a big fan. As I told you, I grew up in the hell of war. I was wounded in both legs by a mortar shell when I was a kid.
Wow.
And I saw the demolition of society in front of my eyes. Yugoslavia went from being a European power to having the money thrown in the streets because it was worthless, not having anything to eat. Like, I've been everywhere. Okay, I've been at the bottom, I've been at the top. The best is yet to come, God willing. But like, I've eaten that cheese on a platter with champagne, and I've been starving, not having anything to eat. And I'm not gonna tell you rich is better, because that's garbage. There's beauty and in everything, in struggle, and no, I'm just yeah, it's just great to be alive, man.
Totally agree. And I've heard a lot of stories too, and I'm pretty close to what happened even in Lebanon in the past few years. The currency over there just collapsed, and there's so much corruption over there. And
Yeah,
but then it makes you think of where the corruption came from, and then you start to just
it's too deep. It's too
take
deep.
off
It's
layers of
Yeah,
what's going on. And history is so important, and
it
there's
is.
not a lot of people that realize how, and probably most Bitcoiners do, but there's not a lot of people that realize how important the history is. And I've always, or recently, have thought that, the past two world wars have made humanity, or have made people forget our history, because when we learn about history in school, all we do is learn about maybe maybe some parts about your country. So, for example, Canada, we learn about 1812 a little bit, but we learn about World War One, we learn about World War Two, and we learn about maybe the Cold War, but we don't learn about the war in 1812 with Napoleon. We don't learn about, of course, the Roman times. We don't learn
Yeah,
about just every. We don't learn about Constantinople and
yeah.
the money. There's so much to learn with history,
Oh
and
yeah, I'm a super history geek. Okay, I will listen to podcasts about historical battles and historical empires and
you
historical
sent me
stuff.
one,
I
right?
did. You need to listen.
The
The
I
Attila
did.
one.
Oh, I did. I listened to it.
Attila
Um,
World History. What's this podcast called? I forgot, but it's about Attila the Hun.
I forget the name of the podcast, but it was really good. But yeah, it
I'm
was
glad.
like
I'm glad.
part one, two, and three of Attila the
It's
Hun.
epic.
Um,
And I fell asleep by listening to that stuff.
me
Like,
too.
yeah, I
Me
put
too.
earbud, I put the rise and fall of Constantinople, and I go to sleep, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna listen to it. And like, in the morning while I'm eating dinner or something, I'll put it. I love history, because history is the best teacher. Everything always already happened, and it's always
Right.
about three things. It's about control, it's about power, and it's about money. And it's always cycles. There's good men, there's bad men. The cycles come, and the cycles go. Now it's the time for the good men of Bitcoin to build better times. And that's where we are at. We're at the beginning of this great spiral, and it's going to be a Renaissance 2.0, and we're going to build glorious things, and we're going to win because we already won. Bitcoin is not going up. Everything is going down. Bitcoin is already where it needs to be. Bitcoin is final. Bitcoin is here, okay? And it has proven that it is resilient and that it's here to stay here. So everything else is going down. So us, we're the OGs, bro. You're the Dr. Dre of Bitcoin, okay? I may be the Snoop Dogg of Bitcoin, you know? We're the OGs. We started this gangster shit, you know? So there's gonna be young people in 10, 15 years listening to this Fifth Epoch shit and talking about their new times and their shit coiners that are still sadly gonna exist and show some bullshit. Then two, then two. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we finally have a money that can't be corrupted, that governments and cities or countries can't abuse, can't take control of, to send their people to war. Like, what I think is they make life so bad, they make life so hard for people, and then they tell them that this is the reason why life is bad, and maybe they'll start funding an army, or they'll start funding people to go fight for them. But because the money is so bad, people are going to be like, okay, you know what, I will accept a little bit of money to go fight for you then, even if I don't believe in what I'm fighting for.
Exactly. Because they have no choice.
They
want to feed their families, you know. So yeah, that's why they want to keep you poor. They want to keep you poor. They want to keep you begging. They want to keep you disinformed. They want to keep you sick so that you come with your hand pleading, you know. But Bitcoin builds your own bank, builds your own empire. You can build your own empire with Bitcoin, and you don't need much. You're gonna need a few AI assistants in a couple of years. You're gonna have your Bitcoin, and you can do anything and do good. So yeah, no, it's a revolution in how things are happening. And I don't think well, listen, we're gonna have challenges. We may even have third world war, but we're gonna emerge stronger from it, and we need to denounce the warmongering and try to stop it in every way possible. You know, we need to do that. And the first thing to do for anybody is to say the truth and to say this is a lie, this is the truth, and to do it in a humble way where you understand that you might be wrong also on some things. You might be wrong, but to try to not be always like, okay, truth can be anything that anybody imagines. No, it can't. Because it doesn't work in that way, okay? It doesn't work. You can pretend to ignore the truth, but you cannot ignore the results of the truth, the consequences of ignoring that truth, you know? And there's what's happening right now. We're ignoring the consequences of the truth, and we're being told lies. And I just want to remind your listeners, your viewers, like people in Berlin during World War II thought that the situation was stabilizing on the front just before Berlin fell, and that the Soviets were raping every girl and woman inside the city, and they were being told that the front was stabilizing and that so like, don't believe anything. In the Soviet Union, before it collapsed, before you know, these people went out on the tanks and with Yeltsin and the other guys, everybody thought the Soviet Union was a super powerful, you know, Leviathan state, all powerful, that could destroy anything. Then it fell apart in a mirage. So we decide what society we want to live in. We, the people, we are many, they are few. So let's always remind ourselves also of this power, and these freedoms were given to us by God Almighty. Because that's what the Enlightenment system is about. That's what our ancestors, they built this system upon. So if you take that out of the equation, then that's not the system. That's some shit system that's going to fall apart, because it's going to be a Sodom and Gomorrah system based on lies, you know. And those systems, and it's not even, you know, when you said earlier, the government, it's not even like that. It's a compilation of small individuals making shitty decisions because they think they have to, that the things were always made in that way. It's not like even one big council deciding to be, let's do evil shit, you know. Yeah, there's probably some assholes doing that too, but in general, it's just a wrong system that was built there insidiously, layer by layer, just to trap us and to take power little by little, and to enslave us little by little, until we wake up living in a fucking box eating insects and, having to read some Klaus Schwab garbage book that he wrote. So no, I will never accept that, and any decent, God-fearing man should not accept that. And I love everybody of every faith. I talk about Jesus because I'm a Christian, but I love everybody, and so it's not about even your faith. It's not about your political orientation. I don't give a fuck. Like, we all want the same thing. We want our children to grow in safety, to have food on our table, to be able to have fun, relax, enjoy life. Okay, that's what we want. We want to be creative. We want to build things. We want to work. We want to have fun. So if that's what we want, that's what we should get, because that's what God gave us.
I couldn't agree more. I think that this planet, this world is ours, the people. And that's interesting what you said. And again, that makes total sense, that our systems have been built up layer by layer by layer by layer. And the more you kind of look into it, the more you realize how messed up it is. But again, it's unfortunately just not a lot of people who question it, who can think about it, who want to think about it. A lot of people are just comfortable, and we already know this, but a lot of people hate the truth.
They do.
And it's really unfortunate, but I never feel bad when I talk to people about my views or whatever, because like you said too, we have to be humble enough where we might be wrong.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be wrong.
It's okay.
We're human.
Yeah.
But be honest.
Exactly. If you realize you're wrong, say it. Exactly.
Right.
Admit it.
Yep. Nice.
No, absolutely. And you know what? I just want to tell you that people got bamboozled, and now they fear the truth because they want to hide. They pretend. Everybody's fucking pretending out there. We all got poorer by 25% in the last 3 years because of inflation. Okay, so everybody lost about 25% of their purchasing power, and everybody's going out there pretending that everything's fine. And sometimes they blame themselves, they blame their husbands, or their, each other, and they say, we were not working enough hard, we weren't saving. Why did you buy those cigars? Whatever. It's not about that. The system is rigged. We're being stole from at a massive industrial scale. It's being sent everywhere but where it needs to be sent, and there's no stopping it. So let's just realize what's going on. It's like the first step of an alcoholic is to realize you're an alcoholic. We're an alcoholic society in that way. We're a toxic society. Now we need to realize, listen, we're a toxic society. Let's unfuck ourselves. So that's why I'm doing this podcast. That's why I want to talk. That's why ideas are powerful. Words are powerful. These words that we just said are going to echo in eternity. And these words may be heard by some dude somewhere 5 years from now, and it could inspire him to build something really nice, to influence in a big way something really important. So we don't know what we do, but when we do something, we should do it honestly, truthfully, and do it from our heart, not to be doing any pretending games.
Definitely. And I've realized too, like for me, for example, you know what? Again, there is maybe a higher power to blame for a lot of different things, but I blame myself for everything that I do. Everything that I do is on me. And if I make a mistake, that's on me. If I decided not to learn about something sooner, that's on me. But I noticed that not everybody has that. Not everybody can blame themselves for it. They blame the situation that they've been given, or they blame the cards that they've been dealt, instead of, you know what, these are the cards that I've been dealt, but you know what, here's what I'm going to do with them, because every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser. So you got to be able to take what you've been given and make it work, I guess.
Oh yeah, totally. That's the best way to approach things, not playing victim, because I mean, God, you can blame God, but God is just God, what if everything went well? That would not be a paradise. If everything works the way you always want to, like, what are you gonna learn in this plane of life? So it's like a video game. You're going up levels. You're unlocking doors. You're finding some magical shrooms. And you're jumping on some fucking blocks. So that's what life is. And after once you meet your maker at the end of it all, well, then is when everything is going to get processed and calculated, you know, every thought, every good deed, every bad deed. But, you know, luckily we have a God that pardons. So if you're humble enough to acknowledge the mistakes you've made, and if you're always try to strive for the best version of yourself, well, you can do no wrong, you know, and you can do 1,000 mistakes and still be worthy of everybody's love and respect. So at the end, when you die, you know, those who remember you are the people that are around you, your friends, your family. So take the time to spend time with them. Say to your mom you love her, you know, and do these small gestures that are so important and that we don't do nearly enough.
I agree. Only two things are scarce, and one of them is time. The other is Bitcoin, but time is one of the most important things. You can always make more money, but you can't get more time.
Exactly.
Okay, we're about 209,500 blocks away from the next halving. Bitcoin just underwent its fourth halving about 3 days ago. How do you expect Bitcoin to move from here?
Well, first of all, the price in fiat is not important to me that much. Like I love following it. Like I'm like the other guys. Sometimes I look, but sometimes it's going to be a week not to look at it, because Bitcoin, it's going up constantly like that, up and down, but it's going up, you know.
Right.
So I predict that, yeah, the price, it could, I think we're going to have a God candle coming soon, because I think that we have these countries that are going to start buying the Middle Eastern countries, because they're heavily dependent on American dollars. And if the American dollars become the same thing that the Zimbabwe did with their money, well, they're going to be stuck with a giant pile of shit. And they don't want to do that, because they have regional rivalities. They have their whole regimes depend on their wealth, you know. So they will need to diversify. And until now, these regimes they thought that the way to diversify is to buy, you know, luxury hotels, football clubs, and some kinds of companies. But that's you know, that we saw it. America could confiscate your money because you disagree about same-sex marriage, and tell you to go fuck yourself and use your money to give giant dildos to everybody. So if that's the reality of things, that means that you don't really own the US dollars, that you own IOU paper from a government that is more and more erratic, and that is doing things that nobody wants, and the confidence of the people in that governments are historic lows. So they will need to diversify, and the only true way for them to diversify is Bitcoin. And when these people start pumping dollars inside Bitcoin, this is nothing we have seen before. So that's why I'm telling you, the fifth epoch is the epoch of Bitcoin. This is the epoch where people are going to realize there's no second best, and there's only one door to escape the matrix, and it's this small for now. You open it and you go inside, you know, you go inside that fucking door, because if you're not, you're gonna be stuck out there, and out there it's gonna be rough. Like I'm sad for the people that own no coins and that are gonna be stuck in this fucking rat race, because it only gets you know, faster and faster and more crazy and more crazy. It's like fucking Hunger Games on steroids with she-males with shotguns. So I don't know, man. I don't want to live in that world. I want to live on the Bitcoin standard. I want to help people go on it. And I think that we're going to have a big ass pump coming in the few weeks. So, but you can predict the price of Bitcoin, you know, and it's all about purchasing power at the end of the day. So for it to be worth $1 million, what can $1 million buy you now, you know, and what can it buy you later? So I don't see it in that way anymore. I know my purchasing power is going up. I know that nobody lost money while holding Bitcoin for 4 years and more. So knowing that, you know, that it's a mathematical system, and it's something that people are going more and more in. And when the thing become, and you need to understand something also. Every single time somebody goes out of the central banking system and goes into Bitcoin for a substantial part of his wealth, they need to print more money to patch that hole too, to keep on printing because it's exponential, but also to patch the holes of the people or cities or countries or everybody that's going outside of that system. So when these countries decide they don't want to own any more American dollars, well, they're going to need to print more dollars because now there's less people playing the stupid game, so you need more dollars. So the people being left inside of that game are going to be more and more desperate because it's gonna become incredibly hard.
I like to say Bitcoin going to 1 million in terms of fiat is like as much of a statement as fiat going to zero. Because by that time, you're right. What can $1 million buy you then?
Exactly.
And then hopefully by that time, we're on a Bitcoin standard and you can go to the store and you can buy things with Bitcoin instead of this paper currency that you've been told is worth something. It's insane. How did you get started into Bitcoin?
Oh my God. Like so many years ago, I don't even know what year it was, maybe 2011.
Wow.
I encountered some guy no, I didn't buy it yet. That's how I
Right.
got known. Okay. We encountered some guy in Montreal called Commander X. This guy was looking like a homeless person and a rich count. He had the both looks. I was like, is this guy crazy or really smart? And he was like, yeah, the FBI are after me for some online stuff. And yeah, there's this thing called Bitcoin. Right now, you can only buy Starbucks and Subway coupons with it. I don't know what year it was, And I was like, okay, this seems cool. And he explained, there's I heard from friends that talked to that guy that I met a few moments afterwards, and they recounted me this thing. Okay, so it was an indirect encounter with this guy through friends that told me. So I went back to my home and I Googled Bitcoin, and I was like, okay, and I read money laundering, crime online, and I was like, okay, and it wasn't that easy to buy it then. So I wanted to put like $100 in it, but I didn't. So after the years went on, and I kept looking at it, and I kept seeing this propaganda. And of course, I went into the shitcoins at one point as well. I was like, hey, maybe I should buy some shitcoins to make a profit and then buy Bitcoin. Like, worst idea ever. So I got wrecked on Gamer. I got wrecked on SafeMoon. I got wrecked on everything that's possible, So, and after I understood, wait, okay, so these are all like just baits to get you away from Bitcoin, essentially. So there's Bitcoin and there's distractions around it. There's no second best. And then I became a Bitcoin maxi maybe I don't know, 2 years ago, that I really became a Bitcoin maxi, that I understood truly at a deeper level what Bitcoin was. Before then, I knew what Bitcoin was. I had some Bitcoin. I was buying and selling and trading and doing all kinds of nonsense, but I didn't really, I wasn't really on the Bitcoin standard, So that's how it happened. And no, it's a great thing. I feel so grateful to be alive today in this exact time and with this exact knowledge. So yeah, it's amazing.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's funny, like trying to think back on what would life be like if you didn't learn about Bitcoin?
What?
How would that change things? But I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, there would be something else invented, that because I think the time was ripe for a Bitcoin. It was invented after the 2008 scam banking run that the government bailed out. So basically made it a communist market where the government intervention now gives money to the bankers. Nobody went to jail for stealing and for acting outrageously. So when these things happen, it's you can't stop the next steps. I'll give you an historical example. Before World War I, the Emperor of Russia and the Emperor of Germany were cousins, and both did not want war, and they were exchanging letters with each other saying we don't want war, but they were at the same time realizing that the war was getting closer and closer and closer, and then war happened, of course. And for Bitcoin, I think that when you steal so much, when you build literally an empire of lies, and when you drain people, it was back-to-back drains in Wall Street, the dot-com bubble, always these fucking bubbles robbing people of their money. And well, the time was ripe for a type 1 technology. You know, we have the internet now, we have Bitcoin. It's a global technology. It's for everybody. You could be in Mongolia being a herder and you can own some Bitcoin. You can be in Afghanistan, you can be in Iran, you can be anywhere. So it's for everybody. Shout out to Liban, who are heavy users of Bitcoin, Venezuela, heavy users of Bitcoin, all of these autocratic places. But now, what is an autocratic place? I mean, when you see what's going on in the US, I call that an autocratic place as well. So, like, freedoms are shrinking around the world. We're living in more and more Orwellian times because they realize that people are waking up. So the fear, they fear us. They fear the masses, you know. They fear us because once the masses realize what's really going on and what the real game was, man, it's not going to be pretty and they're not going to be happy about it. So the truth is out there, and we just need to keep sharing it, you know.
How do the masses? How are we gonna? Yes, we can all wake up, and again, like me and you, we've awoken, or again, there's probably still so much for both of us to learn. But when people finally do realize how messed up everything is, how do we fight back against the corruption? With like, do you think that it's going to be a war? Do you think that we're going to have to go? And I mean, I probably think that we might have to fight for our freedoms. But what about you?
Well, first of all, we don't need everybody. We need to remember that the American Revolution was only fought by 3% of the population, and that the French resistance was only 5% of the population, yet they won. The numbers are not important. What is important is the fighting spirit and the spiritual strength, okay? If we have the Lion of Judah on our side, if we have God, Jesus Christ on our side, and if we, like, how can we lose? We won already. He won. We're just mopping up. So we have that edge, first of all. Then it's a mirage, you know. They seem more powerful than they are, because at the end, it's always an individual thing. The soldier, we have, my battery is low, I'm sorry. My battery is starting to get low. I still have 20%. So yeah, we have these soldiers, we have these policemen, we have, like, these people are people, you know, until they put robots like they're doing now. In Gaza, they're killing children with AI killbots, by the way. So it's a testing ground for us, you know, it's a testing ground for us. People need to realize that. It's the same fucking people. So until now, until then, they are human beings, and human beings are still, there's a human down there, even though they get, you know, brainwashed in the propaganda. So sometimes it's going to happen. I can't give you an answer to that, because there's many roads. It can be a revolt, it can be a civil war, it can be a world war, it can be many things, you know. So it happened in many different ways in history, you know. But sometimes not even one bullet is shot and everybody runs like mice, and after the society can again restart, take out the crazy laws, and then again, layer by layer, it gets fucked up by greedy men that are always attracted by the power, you know, because that's the game. Also, you have many people competing for this power, and there's a lot of shit individuals that are attracted to that power because they want it for their egos and their, you know, their little self. So that's where we come into play, you know. And after, we're gonna know what the next steps are, because it's gonna come natural, you know. The American patriots, when they saw tyranny all around them, and when they were being humiliated, sometimes time is up, you know, and then shit hits the fan. So I'm not sure how it's gonna happen, but something is gonna happen, and this is untenable. It's untenable because it's ruining everybody, and everybody's pretending. You have people earning $100,000 a year that can make ends meet, because everything costs now, you know, a crazy amount. You go out to McDonald's, you know, you're gonna pay $50 if you're there with a family. So and you shouldn't be eating McDonald's, by the way. That's the forced fucking toxins. It's like eating the floor of McDonald's, it's like licking the floor. So, but my example is because this is, you know, when you're poor and you don't have much, people are gonna opt for these fast food, cheap foods, you know, because it's the only thing they can sadly afford, you know. But even those things now have become outpriced. So everybody's getting fucked: the rich, the poor, the middle class, everybody. So there's just a limit of this thing that can go on before people say no, it's enough, and then you're gonna and then God knows how it's going to play out, but it can be in many different ways.
I hope we get some I don't really trust any politicians, and I don't really like any politicians. But with that being said, I hope we do get a politician someday that does care about the people, that we can rally behind. And it's crazy to me that out of everybody living in America, Donald Trump and Joe Biden are the two options that we're stuck with at the end of this year. It's crazy because for me, I'm thinking doesn't matter who gets elected, it's going to be chaos for the next 4 years now too. We've already lived in chaos for the past 4 years, but it's going to be chaos the next 4 years again because we're kind of sticking ourselves in the same boat where a leader who's twice as old, and it might not even have anything to do with age, but he's 3 times maybe as old as most of the population. So he's thinking, either whoever it is, they're going to be thinking in the past, whereas we need someone who's going to be thinking forward for the newer generations.
Yeah.
The newer generations that are getting messed up now.
Yeah, no, I mean, the age is not important, but there's a fucking limit. You can't be senile and shitting your pants, sniffing children. Right. I mean, that's a bit too far. And I want to remind you also that the framers, except George Washington, who was 44 at the time, the framers were in their 20s, you know, some even younger. So these were young men that imagined a whole new country based on individual freedoms, based on rights and freedoms enshrined in the Constitution, on Enlightenment ideas as well. So yeah, we definitely need younger people. About Donald Trump, the whole system in the States is corrupt, and Donald Trump is an outsider because I met the guy, by the way, before he became president. Yeah, I shook his hands. I told him, sir, you're going to become the next president of the United States. Could you sign my book? He signed it, and I told him, could you sign it another time, please? And he said, why? I said, if I need the money, I may sell it on eBay, and it might be worth more if there's 2 signatures. So he laughed and he signed it, you know. So, but this guy is the only president that did not start any wars in his presidency. And he went to places like North Korea, and he made peace all over the place because this guy, his mentality is not a statesman mentality. His mentality is like one of the mobsters in the 80s in New York City where he grew up. He's ruthless. He wants to line his pockets for him and his associates. He doesn't give a fuck about symbols and these things, the state and everything, but he wants to, lower taxes. And so he's a flawed man, absolutely. But he won the last election. I mean, today we can say whatever we want, but Donald Trump won because, first of all, we had deep state do many fucked up things to the campaign, go on to testify that the Biden laptop story was fake, which it was not. They spied on his campaign. I mean, this is some banana republic shit. So I don't care even if Donald Trump is a giant piece of shit, He's the truthful giant piece of shit that the American people elected, and they can elect who the fuck they want, because if we are a republic, we can elect our leaders. If we are not a republic, well, then the deep state decides who the leader is. So sadly, the last time the deep state decided that no, you cannot decide who the leader is, and they put a giant old turd who is senile and shits his pants, that now is starting Third World War without even knowing what the fuck is going on, that put us in such economic dire crisis. The petroleum reserves are at a historic low. And so like everything can go wrong right now. And the problem with right now is you don't even know if it's external forces attacking you or if it's your own fucking government attacking you. So that's the position where the American patriots are at. So I tell to my American friends and American patriots, I love you, and stay strong, and you defend the Constitution. It's not about any man. It's not about Donald Trump. It's not about George Washington. It's not about anybody. It's about the God-given rights, the God-given freedoms, okay? The key word is God-given. It's not a permission. They're given rights. These are our rights. And of course, I'm very interested, and I follow closely American politics. America is Rome right now, and Washington D.C. is Rome, okay, and the rest is the provinces. And what goes on in there is the most important thing in the world, especially for us who are in the Western Bloc. I want my bloc to prosper. I want the people in our bloc to be free and wealthy, you know. So I don't look elsewhere and say we should do that or this. Let's build our own. Let's modernize what we have already. I mean, what the framers thought about was beautiful. So now we need to clean shit up, to clean the layers of shit that were built on top of it. The central bank needs to be abolished because it's a travesty. It's thievery. The country needs to go on the Bitcoin standard, and the country needs to shut the fuck up and respect individual freedoms, you know, and not try to do psyopses and bait people into fake ass manifestations for CNN to, you know, play it and propaganda, make propaganda around it. And you see people are not watching anymore the propaganda news because they know they're being lied to. So they just shut off the news, you know. They don't necessarily go on X to see what exactly is going on. They just don't listen to the news. How many of my close friends told me we now close cable, we don't listen to the news anymore? I don't do it. So for me, it's important to follow the news because my humble opinion is if you don't take care of politics, politics is going to take care of you. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to go. If America becomes a fascist state, El Salvador is not going to be safe. Canada is not going to be safe. Nowhere is going to become safe. So we need to make sure that America stays a democracy, a constitutional republic, and we need to make sure that the American patriots can restore law and order in their country because they are the inspiration. You know, it's all about the idea. And I think that for America, the best is yet to come. And for Bitcoin, the best is yet to come as well.
Well said. I always think of the American, I think, Congress. I always try to like compare it to the Roman Senate back in the day. The Roman Senate had a bunch of people who were just disagreeing with each other and maybe never, things couldn't get passed or anything. And I feel like that's what our Congress is like today. It's just people on both sides and they're just arguing about everything. And then for me, I'm pretty much down the middle. I think I've heard this quote before and I stick with it, but it's the right where nothing is left or the left where nothing is right. So for me, I think both sides are, if you're extreme on both sides, it's bad. And then I also heard that, you know what, one side wants freedom, the other side wants equality. I think, to be honest, both of those sound good. So I feel like I'm very much down the middle because I believe that we're all human, we all deserve
Yeah,
respect, and we're all equal,
absolutely.
and we all deserve our own sovereignty. We all deserve to have rights, to have a voice, to have a say in something. Um, and if not, at least don't lie to us and tell us that we have a say in something.
Exactly.
Be honest about it. You know what? If that's the kind of country or government that you're going to run, at least be honest about it so that way
Yeah.
people know what they're getting into instead of telling us that it is free and then you accidentally step on the road when it's a red light and then you get a ticket for jaywalking because
But
that's not a
that's
free
the thing.
country.
That's why they do it. They wanted to discourage you. The preferred thing for them to hear is, I don't take care about the politics anymore. You know, this is what they love because
Right.
this means it's easier to play their game. Uh, I've been into politics. I saw some good politician. Me, I always, anything I did, I tried to do it to the best of my capacities to help on the task I was doing. And I know there's many more as me stuck in a rotten system. But the fact is that I forgot what I was gonna make as a point, yeah, that's the point I want to make. The system works, okay? It's like little power buttons everywhere, you know, and I mean manivels. They work. We need to occupy all levers of power of every. We need decent people to occupy any lever of power that can be occupied in our democracies, because that's the thing. You know, you saw it right now. George Soros, now he plays on local DA districts. He's gonna buy DAs to do his bidding about his no crime policies and nonsense. You know, me too. I'm in the middle. I never consider myself a conservative. I always considered myself in the center left spectrum, where I want to be in a capitalistic society and be able to enjoy individual freedoms and build prosperity for me and my family. But at the same time, I don't want people to be starving to death and living in shit, you know. So but right now, when people tell me, okay, there's this guy that just raped 2 people and he's not going to jail because of his skin, color of his skin. No, fuck you. He needs to go to jail, and the person who didn't put him in jail needs to go in jail too. And if anybody wants to stand and defend these 2 persons, he should fucking go to jail too. So until we do that, until there's not some fucking law and order, and you know, and the problem is the society is becoming so ruthless that people they resort to crime, because the law, respecting the law gets you into nowhere. Respecting the law gets you famished and living in shit and squalor, you know. And not respecting the law doesn't have any consequences. So people are there and they're like, okay, so we can steal and pillage, and that's what they want, because they're gonna play those fucking news clips on CNN, and meanwhile they're gonna be sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and Israel and getting the kickbacks. I mean, all of these fucking congressmen, they earn millions of dollars on $100,000 salary. How the fuck is that? Why does Nancy Pelosi have so much money? Like, it's obvious. They don't even hide it, because they're so powerful that they mock the people. They don't give a fuck what you think. Okay, and that's the thing. And this kind of attitude happened before the French Revolution. I mean, before it happened, these peasants, they were starving. They had no food. And the king had the whole army, had all of the weapons, everything, total absolute power over these people. And yet the people won. Because when the masses get to a level where they cannot tolerate anymore, well, they get angry and they destroy the systems, and then new systems can be built, you know. So let's hope that we don't have to go there in this fifth epoch. Let's hope that we can salvage it by having individual cities and communities go onto Bitcoin standard, doing their own farming, imagining new ways of consuming and building goods and trading and exchanging wealth and knowledge, you know. Let's build it from the ground up. Let's do it let's become that virus. Jesus put fire to the world. Bitcoin is gonna be the accelerant. Let's spread this fucking accelerant and let's burn it all up, you know. Let's make his kingdom come.
Do you think that we're already in a world war, or do you think that it's possible that it hasn't begun yet? And
yeah, it has begun. It has begun. It has begun because it's obvious. I mean, there's sabotages going on, like the ships hitting the bridges. You have attacks on ships, confiscations of ships. You have proxy wars in many places. Nobody heard about it. There's a base in Nigeria that had the U.S. soldiers that was just kicked out. Russians went in. So the pounds are being played out, you know. And there's 2 blocks right now. It's the U.S. and the European bloc against Russia, China, Iran bloc, and there's obviously all kinds of other actors around, Brazil, you know, North Korea, etc. But yeah, we're in a type of I wouldn't call it a cold world war. I would call it a little bit hot, you know, a warm world war right now.
Yeah.
But it can become really hot. I mean, and it can become really retarded. And there were some non-confirmed news going on that after the Iran attacked Israel recently because of Israel bombing its embassy in Syria and killing high officials. And embassy, by the way, is considered land of the country to who the embassy is. When they struck back at Israel, and Israel wanted to retaliate on the retaliation, and the markets were unsure, and Bitcoin crashed for a bit there, and everybody was expecting a retarded retaliation from the Zionist regime. Well, it seems that they had a plane go in the air with a nuclear bomb, okay, that was shot down by the Russians. And they wanted to explode the bomb in high altitude to do circuit damage to the Iranian infrastructure. So imagine if this is true, and this is non-confirmed. I saw it, and it was confirmed by a few people that are serious people and that follow this geopolitics. And after the lies about did the strike really occur or no, it was all like fuzzy, and we didn't know what really happened. And then it all calmed down because the situation was resolved. Well, it seems that, yeah, they put into the altitude a nuclear bomb, okay? So if that's the case, that means we were this close to world war, because when one goes off, 100 are gonna go off, and when 100 go off, well, bro, well, we're gonna have a fucking badass party, and it's gonna be a bad trip.
How does that get shot down out of the air? Like, if you shoot a plane that carries this bomb, does it explode in the air or does it land on the ground and explode? Like, how does a bomb like that not go off when it gets hit?
No, I don't think that if the bomb gets shot, it explodes like that. You know, these bombs, they have devices that needs to set some things in motion. If it's not started yet, if it's not detonated yet, I think there is ways to shut it down. But what that means essentially, and I mean, Russia has bases in Syria, has a very important port there in the region as well. Well, why I'm mentioning this is that if this is the case, and I put some truth into it, I think it's very plausible. That means we were literally like moments away from world war this time, you know. And if Russia did not interfere aggressively to stop what was going on, and to show to Israelis that like their guns now are pointed at them, they have the nuclear capacity as well. Iran does not. Well, that's a real pickle, man. That means that we were fucking close to be living in some shitty conjuncture where our families would have to face nuclear winter potentially, you know, and that's not cool at all. It's pretty fucking far from cool, actually.
Yeah. One of my pinned posts that I've had pinned for quite a long time, and it's stop the wars, fix the money. Because war is just terrible.
It's terrible. It's hell. It's hell. It's hell on earth.
Definitely, I believe it. And we should be doing everything possible to get away from that. We should keep talking and advocate for not dropping bombs on people, not funding a war, no matter who is right and who is wrong, because at the end of the day, nobody is right for killing another human being.
No. We should organize battles, like boxing battles or UFC battles, you know, get our champions and send them, and, you know,
send the leaders to go fight each other. If you really
send
want.
Fucking Lindsey Graham get his ass kicked in Bakhmut, man. Let's do that. I'm sure he wouldn't accept. My battery is getting low. I'm at 10%, by the way.
Okay, no, I figured when it went black there again.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? We talked about a lot. I'm sure that there's a lot more to go over and cover again, so I'd be happy to do this again if you were. But yeah, no, thanks Yugocana for coming on. It was a pleasure talking with you today and learning a bit about your journey and some of your views as well with the world and everything. It was great talking to you today, and hopefully we see each other in Montreal in about a month.
Yeah, and it's only the beginning to this beautiful Bitcoin adventures. I salute Bitcoin Twitter. I salute my father-in-law, Jose Luis, for giving me this beautiful shirt. I want to plug the bitcoincentral.com if you want to get a hoodie with the white paper in the back. And I want to thank you a lot, Xavier, to invite me to my first English podcast. It was a great pleasure talking to you. I think that the things we discuss here are very important, and I hope that it's going to make a lot of people think. I hope they share, they subscribe to you as well, because what you're doing is so cool. And we don't know where this adventure is going to lead us. I want to tell to everybody, stack sats and give all glory to God, and that way you're going to be cool.
I love it. And cheers again to being your first podcast in English. You did great, by the way.
Cheers. I'm drinking Carta Blanca hecha in Mexico.
Wow, very nice.
So thank you, my friend, and talk to you soon. Cheers.